anything. So she's using me. She knows if I see her and take her up the park, I would naturally take her into my son.
Who is her ex-husband?
Yes.
And what she's therefore seeing you is as a dangerous route
I am.
to her
Although we're
ex-husband.
getting on very well, she sees me as a danger to see so that he will see the baby and she just doesn't want it.
Is yours the same sort of dilemma as well? Because I know you're
mine's different to that.
What's
mine's
yours?
About my youngest daughter had a little baby, and you know, when she was 18, and she lived at home. She wasn't married, you know, and when he was 2 weeks old, she went off and left him. I didn't see her no more for about 8 months, you know.
She went off and left the baby?
With me, yeah.
So you were actually being
yeah.
virtually the grandmother caring for the child, yeah?
And anyway, I brought him up. He was 3.5, and I got a letter from her solicitor to go, like, to, you know, he was 3 at the time, to go to court. You know, she wants access to him. And I went to the High Court. You know, I see Robert Johnson. Anyway, he gave her access to him. But in the meantime, she had another little baby. He was 3 months old because she got married to a man 27 years older than her. Anyway, so she went to court to try and get access to Lawrence, and Robert Johnson gave her access. And anyway, about 6 months later, he gave them to her, you know, give her care and control. Anyway, 8 months later, I got a letter to go to the, got to see my solicitor, to go to court. The 2 babies got family bruising, Lawrence and the baby, all over their body, took them both away into care. And I've tried to get him back and I couldn't.
So how many months or years is it now that you hadn't been able to get anywhere near the child that was actually living with you?
Yeah, 3.5. Well, I see him, I did have access, when he was taken away into care, I see him for 2.5, you know, 2 or 6, access to him. But one day I went to the social workers, you know, to see the access, and the social worker said to me, today is the last day you'll see Lawrence. I said, what do you mean? She said, well, we've got a family, we may, so, you know, may be adopting him, and he won't be able to have no more contact with you. So when Lawrence come in, she said, Lawrence, you've got to give Nanny a big hug today. So
a big hug and goodbye?
Yeah. So he said, why? She said, well, you won't be seeing Nanny for a long time. And he said, why not be seeing her next week? And I walked home crying.
How long ago was that?
Well, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. And you haven't seen him since?
He's 8 now, no. Lots of
I want to get into the legal complexity of this in a moment, but just, I mean, if we can stick to the domestic one, who else has gone through that emotional dilemma? Was it once again a marriage breakup between daughter or son?
Well, it was, but my son and my daughter-in-law, they were Bonnie and Clyde. And
I see.
She gave evidence against him in court and he got 12 years. And from then on, a new boyfriend come on the scene, and the little girl that I'd had with me for over a year, she wouldn't give me any rights to her at all. When I did get in touch with the probation service, they must have contacted her and asked if I could see the children. And I got such a lot of abuse on the phone from her that I thought I couldn't go through with it.
So you were in the appalling dilemma where your son was in jail, you were trying to see your grandchild,
Well,
you were phoning her quite often and all you got was abuse?
I wasn't phoning her, I was trying to do it properly through the social services. But she got probation, so I did get in touch with the probation service.
And they couldn't?
But no, and from then on, for about 4 or 5 months after that, I was getting the most abusive phone calls all times of day and night.
Who else? Let me turn to this side. What is it that's caused the nightmare for you?
Well, mine was divorce as well, but I've been very lucky. I actually did go through the legal system and I have got legal access to my grandson. But I regret very much that I had to use the legal system.
I think you are one of the few people who managed to get it. I mean, the judge actually said after you had argued the case, yes, you may have regular access.
Yes, only once a month, but that's fair. I just want the child to know who we are.
And when we say once a month, does that mean that you are able to actually take the child out by yourself for a walk in a park?
My son comes with us. He visits my home, or we take him out to McDonald's or somewhere. And actually, I run an organisation now for grandparents, and just recently we've been extremely lucky. A lot of grandparents have gone to court, and a lot of grandparents have got access.
I want to get, if I may, into how it can be argued in court in a moment or two. But can I turn to Annette? I mean, we've heard 4, 5 cases. Are you a case? Are you a case in this as well? I'll turn to a gentleman before I come to you.
The judge.
You're going to go to the legal stuff. How?
Yeah, but me daughter-in-law, me stopped it. after we got access, me and the wife, for 2 to 6 every second Sunday. She just stopped it, and that's it.
So even though the law had given you the right, your daughter-in-law took it away again?
Yes.
What is, I mean, are we actually hearing here average stories which exist quite a lot, or are these fairly abnormal?
I wish we knew what the extent of the problem is. I don't know of any study that yet tells us how many families are suffering like that. We also don't know, of course, the other side of the coin, how many families really have the benefit of grandparents, usually I have to say grandmothers, supporting, sometimes single-handedly, the child of their, usually daughter, while she, who's been divorced or has had the child without a husband, is trying to keep them in bread and the rest of it.
Keep the bread and butter going, yeah.
But I think there are 3 reasons why this problem is likely to get larger, certainly not diminish. The first one is the one that keeps coming up, and that is divorce. We're still likely to see 1 in every 3 marriages ending in divorce.
1 in 3, aren't we?
Yes, well, we're at that. And as soon as there's a divorce, there's a problem of where the children are and where their main home is. The second reason is that because marriage has become really less respected, I think, than it ever has been as an institution, as a kind of solid institution, doesn't mean to say we don't value the relationship that marriage brings. People are choosing to live together more often without marrying and having their babies out of wedlock.
Do you think
when
that means
those
there's more likely to be a breakup?
Well, then they are actually more likely to break up. They do break up those relationships more even than legal marriages do. And there, the legal tie is even more tenuous with the grandparents because there hasn't even been a formal marriage. And then the last reason is that when there are these breaks up in relationship, usually still, in 9 cases out of 10, the children are going to stay with mum.
Yeah.
And I have to say this. I know we're hearing from here, perhaps from people who are close to sons who are also suffering. But I'm afraid the record of sons, fathers, in terms of their continuing to maintain a relationship with children, their own children, after a divorce is not good. Men are not paying maintenance, they're not supporting their children, and so usually it's the daughter-in-law on whom the burden, if you like, falls to try and keep a relationship going with her in-laws. And like we heard up here, she may be very frightened of the child having access to the father for her own reasons.
Well,
they may not be the child's reasons.
I know from our divorce programme the other day that there was a certain, I mean, it was said many times that very frequently, frankly, it is the husband who does the runner and neglects, and the wife who has to struggle on. But obviously you believe there is a counter-argument.
Yes. The social services, my son informed the social services of some fears he had, and I did also. My granddaughter told us certain things in January and February 1988, and my son had moved back into my house, and the children were living with the mother.
Now, sorry, let me make sure I understand this. Your son had married a girl. They had had children.
Yes.
The marriage had broken up, and the children had stayed with the daughter-in-law.
With the mother, yes.
With the daughter-in-law,
yes.
Right.
And my son moved back into my house, and there were certain things that my granddaughter had told us, and certain things my son had seen. And we went to the social services. He went, and I went. And the social services didn't take any notice of us. And I had tapes to prove what I said. And they wouldn't even meet me. And both of us, in turn, contacted NSPCC. And even they didn't even have the decency to speak to my son or to contact me. And it was from that time, the January and February, I had very strong fears of something very nasty happening.
Can I ask you one brief question? Are you now able to see the kids at all?
Oh, yes,
You are at least able to see them?
Yes.
I want to know about people...
10 years.
You haven't seen your...
Granddaughter for 10 years.
Well,
I'm not allowed to see her at all.
well, may I... What manoeuvres have you used? Have you been to law?
No, I haven't. I think because in my situation where they weren't married, I didn't know just how many rights I had, but I've appealed to her parents as one grandparent to another to say, well, even if I could just
see how she's getting on, or a photograph or something. But
And they say no?
No.
Have you said to them, is there one sentence that they use to explain why they refuse to allow you to see your grandchild? I mean, after all, if I were in your position, I would want to say to them, look, I can understand you've got anger, I can understand there's been breakups, I can understand everything, but at the end of the day, there is a grandchild, part of my life as well as part of yours, I want to see. What do they say to you when you make that plea?
well, the thing is, you see, you haven't only got to think of yourself, have you? For all I know now, my granddaughter doesn't even know I exist anymore. And I have got to think of that child.
She doesn't really want to know, your
How would I know? Am I going to upset her life by coming into her life now? But to be here today, we might be able to find a way.
Because as far as you're concerned, there is a vacuum in your life, and if you could only see the child once a month...
Even that, or just to know how she was doing, and because now she's a young lady.
Can I move to the law? Sorry, you're an expert in the law in these matters. You lecture in the law. How many people here could actually start some kind of legal demand which could get them the right to see the child?
Well, the position that I'll be talking about doesn't apply in Scotland, which has its own legal system, but as far as the law is concerned, grandparents have very limited rights to apply for access. There is the possibility of wardship, which involves proceedings in the High Court, which
But that involves taking the child altogether?
No, it involves the child's upbringing actually being supervised by the court, which isn't appropriate simply for an access dispute. The other possibility is a grandparent can apply for access to the child, but only where the nuclear family, the parents, have been litigating over the child, or there's been a divorce, or one of the parents has in fact died. That's the position at the moment.
But that, I mean, so if that lady who for 10 years hasn't seen a child, who is part of her life, I mean, as a grandchild, inevitably part of her life, if she went to a solicitor and said, look, is there no way you can argue in law for me to see that child once a month for 1 hour, would the solicitor say there's nothing I can do?
Not unless the actual parents have litigated over the child and got some sort of custody or access order over the child.
I've got on to the Lord Chancellor.
You've been... Yeah.
On to the Lord Chancellor, and he can't do nothing till next year. So,
well, they are going to change. There is hopes of change.
Here today, asking solicitors, because when you go into court, you got a solicitor for her and you got a solicitor for him. Now they're going to fight for each other, and the children don't come into it.
There is someone here who did go to law and who did win. Who was it? You won, didn't you?
Yes.
Now,
well,
I mean, did you...
I didn't actually win because there are no winners in these situations. But,
Yeah, but as you were saying earlier, you won. Do you think that it was because there was an unusually liberal judge or an unusually skilled lawyer, or what was it that managed to win for you? What clearly other people feel they can't get?
I think the fact that I'd spent so much time with the little boy since he was born, I think that's what won the case for me. But also, this lady has just said that people who aren't married, that the grandparents can't apply for access. Yes, they can, and I have... Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I thought you said that.
Parents have
Hang
actually
on,
litigated.
I'm coming along that down. I'm coming to this lady first, right?
It's 3 years now. My daughter's marriage broke up 10 years ago. And my son-in-law just won't let me see my 2 grandchildren. They're now at the age of 12 and 13.
Have you tried either the social services or a lawyer or anything?
With a solicitor. Even through the solicitor, he is refusing access for me where the mother can't see them on a Sunday. Even that he's rejected.
So even though you've said, all I want to do is to buy the child a cup of tea and sit down in a cafe and actually chat to the child, the solicitor said, there's nothing I can do for you.
And the devastating thing about this is he sends my 2 grandchildren to his parents' house, and they only live around the corner from me. And this is very painful.
Well, I know there is a gentleman somewhere here who actually sees his grandchildren who he is not allowed to talk to walk down the street. Where is he?
I've never seen my grandchildren at all, ever. I've got a 6-year-old daughter this October and a little boy I've never even set eyes on.
And is that because of son-in-law or daughter-in-law who won't
my
allow?
daughter.
You've been very quietly waiting, yes.
Well, my son's not married to his girl, But I've got a grandson of 7 years and I haven't seen him for a long time. But I went last month to ask her if he could go and see his dad because he had a heart attack. But she would refuse. She said it doesn't want nothing to do with any of us.
Even though there was something as desperate as that? The lady there?
I came... If
You're going to be the
remember
last one before we go into a break.
I had the situation that I thought my son who's there, he didn't marry the girl, but we have a granddaughter, and he used to bring her over so that we could look after her while they went out. Then all of a sudden it stopped because they broke up, and she ended up, because my son wanted to have access to see the child, she got him 14 days inside for it. And she said he wasn't allowed to come anywhere near the child. We were told, because I got in touch with the social workers, because the child was being beaten up by one of the men that she had living with her.
You actually got 14 days inside?
Yes, and threatened with longer than that if he got anywhere near the child, and yet he used to send presents and all, and they got sent back.
I want to hear more about that, if I may, in a couple of minutes, because we're going to have to pause. I mean, we have heard a lot from grandparents, and there's obviously an extraordinary story developing there about a father who actually went to jail. In part two, we also want to talk about the grandchildren. Nicola, who is sat here, age 15. Nicola hasn't seen her grandfather for 8 years, and she'll talk about the experience for the other end in part two. 8 years? 8 years.
Johnson's Baby Facial System for baby soft skin.
Bored with the same old taste every morning? Then try Breakfast Timers from Farley's. Made from wholesome ingredients with lots of vitamins and minerals.
Wake up. Wake up. It's Snoozy. Wake up.
Breakfast Timers. So Farley's. So good.
As dentists will tell you, tartar is a serious problem. They use this to scrape it away. That's why you need Tartar Control Crest, which not only fights decay, but also reduces tartar formation.
Even with regular brushing, tartar can build up over time. But by brushing with Tartar Control Crest, almost everyone has less tartar. Some have none at all.
And less tartar means less scraping when you visit the dentist. Tartar Control Crest. Help your dentist to fight tartar.
Are you using a separate fabric softener and detergent to get your clothes clean and soft? Are you spending more than you need? Stop. Nowadays, the smart money goes on Bold all-in-one. You get the outstanding cleaning of your detergent and quality softness without a separate softener. And it doesn't cost as much as these two. So why buy two? Just buy one. Bold all-in-one. It's where the smart money goes.
Spend time on shampoo and conditioner? Take 2 bottles into the shower? Not me. I just want to wash my hair and go. So I use Vidal Sassoon Wash and Go. Salon shampoo plus complete conditioner in 1 bottle. Vidal Sassoon Wash and Go. Leaves my hair clean, fully conditioned and easy to manage. Shampoo and conditioner? Not me. Now I just wash and go.
Salon shampoo and complete conditioner in 1. Vidal Sassoon Wash and Go.
I've got a number of things to say before we continue. One is that this is a programme in which there are understandable passions, as I'm sure you'll be aware. People in certain situations, particularly where they feel they can't see their grandchild, feel very, very bitter. On the other hand, there are presumably 2 sides to every argument. The 2 sides to the argument cannot happen in the studio. There is therefore a point at which, whilst the condemnation of the other side and the anger is bound to show, sometimes I'm frankly going to have to put the brakes on because the other side isn't getting a chance to express its view. And I think it's important that I've said that, and I hope you can all accept that it was important that I said that. Now, during this programme, we're going to be putting up a helpline number, and that programme is going to tell you where to write for advice, and it'll also give you details of the Grandparents' Day helpline, which will be operating tomorrow. So you can phone that one number, and you can get advice now, and you can also get a different telephone number which they will give you, which will be open to you all day tomorrow, Saturday, which you can also use. And now, if I may, turn to my 15-year-old, because you're at the other end of this sort of situation. How long is it that you have not been able to see your grandma and grandpa?
Well, I actually see my grandma.
You see your grandma,
yeah.
But grandpa, no? Is it for years and years, or just for a short time? I mean, has that been for a long time?
A few years, yeah.
What has that done to you as a youngster? Do you feel deprived?
Yeah, I do. Like my friends go out with their grandparents, obviously I can't.
Have you ever sort of had a little gentle conversation at home and said, look, you know, for goodness sake, can't I go and have a cup of tea with Grandpa? I mean, it's not all that. And what's the answer been?
Well, his wife, like, she's cut him off from us. She doesn't want him to see us at all.
No. So, I mean, from your point of view, if something could happen which could allow you to see him, it would make your life much better. I don't want to push you. Come on.
Mine?
Yeah. There is somebody else in that situation who is... Anyone else in that situation?
Well, I've got a young daughter, 3 months old, and the father of her, his parents, don't want anything to do with her. They haven't acknowledged her at all since her birth. And like Nicola, she's obviously very upset that she's never seen her grandfather, well, not for a long time. I don't want my daughter to be in that sort of position where she's not going to know the other set of grandparents, because if they do actually decide they want to see her at some time, it might really upset her. I don't want her to go through that, and I'd rather not see her at all if they're going to be like that.
So you, in a sense, let me make sure I understand, are actually saying that rather than have your daughter see them once or twice and be upset by it, you deliberately actually would prefer your daughter not to see them at all?
No, what I'm saying is they haven't bothered yet, and there's still time for them to get into her life while she's at the age that she'll recognise them. But I don't want her to be, say, 7 or 8 when she actually gets to meet them, because they won't be her grandparents then.
So what you're saying is either open the door now and let's get on with it.
It's going to be shut
I think
forever.
that's a very legitimate argument. I think the earlier the door is open, the better. Can I bounce to the other young lady over there? Sorry, I want to bounce to the youngsters for a moment. You're a youngster. What's your situation?
Well, I want to see my grandma, but I phone her up, and because my mum and dad are divorced, she blames me for it. And I try and see it, but
she blames you for it?
Yeah, she blames me for my mum and dad getting divorced. And I had to go into care, and she tried to stop my mum from seeing me when I was in care. And now I try and ring her up, and I try and speak to her, but she just won't speak to me. She just doesn't want to know me.
Can I, there is one important thing I think we've got to get into this programme. I'd like to actually try, if I can, to get the happy side of the situation going. Are you the happy side of the situation?
Well, I'd like to say thank God for grandparents.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for my mum, who is a grandparent, I wouldn't have my nephew, James, at home now, who's 4 years old. My younger sister had him when she was 15, she was a heroin addict, and obviously wasn't capable of looking after him. So my mum got custody of James, so we could still have him in the family unit, so my sister could still see him grow up. And we make it, obviously he gets upset sometimes that his mum is not there, but I mean, she comes and visits from time to time and that. But we say to him, you're a special boy, James, because you got 4 mummies. You got main mummy, you got nanny mummy, you got auntie, you got Karen mummy, and you got my other sister, you got Lorraine mummy. You're a special boy.
So you're saying that there is a loving relationship there which is desperately important.
Totally, yeah.
You're upset, love.
We're going to miss it. This is what I'm saying with my granddaughter. She's 3. She used to live with me. She used to run after me if I had to go out. She used to cling to me. Now she hardly knows me.
Right.
I've got to go round the streets trying to find her. I'm going to lose that bond. They say, oh, she'll come to you when she's older. But I'm going to miss while she's growing up.
That bond is very important. I'm going to come to you. Sorry, but 1, 2, and then I'm going to that gentleman, because I must get to that gentleman about having ended up. Yes.
I am of this breed, the ex-daughter-in-law. They're being painted really black. We're not. I've got fantastic parents, right? I've got custody of my son. I'm practically divorced. I'm fortunate I get on with my ex-husband. But my parents obviously see my son every weekend. They're wonderful. We wouldn't be here without
And
them.
do your husband's parents see them as well?
Right, this is what I'm saying.
So
I keep the contact. I phone her. I take my son over there. I divorced my husband, not his grandparents.
But you see, if I may say so, you're the positive side of the argument, because what you are saying is that the doors can be opened.
They can.
Well,
but I keep the contact going. She doesn't ring me that often.
Well, what I think you ought to do, love, is, if I may say so, you ought to talk to that camera and say, would everybody down there who has been divorced get your act together and let the grandparents and the grandchildren have a happy time?
Don't let the children suffer. But you shouldn't. I agree with you. I'm an
About happy grandparents now.
You got happy grandparents.
Right, my grandparents, when I was 9 years old, me and my sister went to live with them due to family reasons. And if they hadn't have been there, then, well, I don't want to say any more, but they were there for us and we needed them and they were fantastic.
Right.
That was Mr. and Mrs. Dodge.
And kids are missing out.
What's your situation?
I mean, we're still together. There's no problem with our relationship. And our little boy will be 2 tomorrow, which happens to be National Grandparents' Day. And Gary's mum and dad just not interested. So we don't get a birthday card. We get nothing.
Now, why are your mum and dad not... Oh, well, I suppose I shouldn't ask that question.
There's an argument that...
Between
Mandy and
when Oliver was 3 months
But-
old.
But
we've sent them photographs, we send them Christmas cards, birthday cards. It's his birthday tomorrow, and we won't get anything because they've moved within the last month or so. They've moved.
They maybe just remind them it's National Grandparents Day.
It's National Grandparents Day.
Can I just say that there are some very normal families who, I mean, I got a very good marriage. My parents are wonderful. They're wonderful grandparents. They live a long way away. They live in Leeds. But my children have had a wonderful relationship. I put my parents at the top of the list as grandparents.
I know there are good ones. I mean, I would hope the vast percentage are good
you know, there is hope for
I
everybody.
hope the vast percentage are good ones.
My mother was very, very marvellous, and she's marvellous to my two sons. It's Angela as my daughter. But it's just a shame. Mum, please speak to Angie. It's not Angela's fault. Please, Mum, you're a super mum. Please be a super grandma to Angela.
May I say something?
You can.
I have 6 grandchildren, but I have
Congratulations.
one
6.
grandchild who I'm looked after from when she was 3 months old, and now she is 4, and her mother has denied her the rights to see me.
Why?
Because of an argument between herself and myself. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I got a letter in the post, and when I looked at it, it says Nan Nan. When I opened it, it was just a small painting that she sent me in the post. I took £5, I bought a card, and I put a £5 saying how much I appreciate just this little thing says to Nan Nan, love, Sami. And up to now, her mother has not even allowed her to even phone to say thank you for that £5 that I put. And I said, Nan love you. This is your ice cream money. And this is the first year we have a National Grandparents Day. And that child would not be able to send me a card, even though she's not responsible for what has happened.
Well, I hope they're watching. If I can go to this chap up here, because I'm sorry, I think it's important. I don't want to go too much into the details because we've got to be very careful about what we say. But just let me check. You were anxious to get the chance for your mother and father to meet the grandchild.
Yeah.
You went to jail.
Yeah.
Was that because you had actually tried in some way to grab the child and get it round to your grandma and grandpa?
No.
What were you accused of?
Breaking windows and things like that when I was in Scotland in a lorry. I was working away, but I was supposed to be down here at the same time. I had evidence to say where I was, but the judge didn't bother listening to that. He just wanted to listen to her side of the story.
Have you... I suppose it's very difficult once you've got into that level of situation, but have you tried gently, by letter, by phone,
Yeah,
by
I've tried
post,
that.
by every trick in the book to say, look, for goodness sake, can we not just meet?
Well, I've tried that, but her parents don't want to let me even see the child, or my parents. But now I've found out she's even been beaten up by the bloke that she's living with, my daughter has. By the,
That
her
was the
stepfather.
one I said yesterday to you on the other programme.
Well,
I got in contact with.
if I may, there is a conciliation lady who I think I really rather need to talk to, Hilary. You are an expert on the field of conciliation, right? We've had a nightmare of stories.
Yes, we have.
What can they do?
Well, we run a conciliation service, which shouldn't be confused with reconciliation. Our idea is that parents should be helped to continue as parents, even if they can't continue as partners. And in my book, continuing as parents means including the grandparents. And there are about 50 out-of-court conciliation services all over the country. And the headquarters is at Swindon, and I understand the helpline will give you the phone number of that. And we ran a workshop for grandparents. It was an extremely sad experience, rather like some of the people today. But I think that perhaps conciliation, if you could get the parents to conciliate, they could understand how important it is that the grandparents are involved.
Can I push you on a detail about conciliation? I mean, if we can take this lady, would a conciliation service actually approach the other party and talk to the other party alone, then approach one side and talk to one side alone, so that they don't necessarily say, I've got to get you together to talk to you.
This is exactly
They'll say,
how
I will talk to you separately, and try desperately, by talking to them separately, to begin to move them together?
We always work separately at first. We have separate sessions with different counsellors so that they don't feel you've taken sides. And we then meet as a foursome. And we could do the same thing with grandparents, I think, if we were asked.
And if people want to get to the conciliation service and can't find them in the phone book, they can go to the Citizens Advice Bureau and probably find out
Most
there.
Citizens Advice Bureaus know if there's a local one.
We're running very short of time. If you've got a legal one to throw in, but I must get to age concerned.
Yes, it's just that I'm very glad to hear that conciliators are now taking cognizance of grandparents' problems, because until now, in fact, they have not. They've tended to concentrate purely on parental problems.
Age concern, where are we? Please, we've got, tell people about tomorrow and what they can do to help themselves.
Well, we've heard about some of the things that you can do, the conciliation services, and some of the legal possibilities, and also, of course, there are emotional problems that people may wish to talk about. And there will be a helpline running tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. tomorrow,
and the number
will be coming up soon. And they can also give you details of how to get hold of this book, which is published by Age Concern, which gives a lot of useful advice, I hope.
So if they use today's helpline, they can get information which will lead them to tomorrow's helpline, which will also tell them how to get hold of this book. And basically, at least that should, with luck, push things in the right direction. So that's it for this week. It's been an emotional subject today. Time and Place picks up again with John Stapleton, Monday, 10 o'clock. Bye-bye. Have you discovered that your partner is gay? Has he or she left you for a gay or lesbian relationship? Or maybe you're the one who's left. If your lover's turned out to be gay, ring the Time and the Place now on 0898 345 499. That's 0898 345 499.
You have to be frank on that programme, don't you? Listen, on ours, we'll have groovy grandparents, Autumn Tartan and Sue Lawley.
And our phone in, all the intimate details on Charles and Diana, everything you've ever wanted to know. Give us a ring. See you later.
What's made with pure sunflower oil and has a taste that will make you shine. Vitalite. Oh, Vitalite. That's right.
You're with the Woolwich. You know it too.
How do other boy-girl nappies compare with Pampers? Journalist Leslie-Ann Jones was asked to find out.
Well, after some testing at home here, it was then time for a real challenge. So